There is this role that Maestro Vincenzo Bellini wrote for the voice of the tenor, and it turns out to be one of the most difficult roles for this tessitura, provided that it requires, as Maestro Bellini's bel canto, a very good fraseggio. It requires a very solid, homogeneous voice, a very solid technique, and it requires the tenor to be very elegant in the emission of his sounds. But if that wouldn't be enough, Maestro Bellini has requested or demanded from the singer some of the highest notes ever required for the male voice. So the mix of super high notes with the elegant line of singing makes it close to impossible to have a tenor who can actually do a very good job, provided that the whole tessitura, not only the notes that we are going to discuss today, but the whole tessitura of the tenor and the soprano are very high. That makes it more difficult to find good singers who can actually do a good job with the role of Arturo in the opera I Puritani by Maestro Bellini. And you are already seeing on the screen Maestro Kraus, because we are going to open with Maestro Kraus, because I know that people are have this passion, or almost obsession for the high C. Oh, the high C of the tenor. Oh, he goes for the high C, el do de pecho, el do de pecho, and blah 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 blah. But the examples from the same role in the same opera that we are sharing today, all of them are higher than the high C. So if you think that the number of high Cs requested in La Fille du Régiment in Maestro Donizetti for the tenor is challenging. If you think the number of high Cs requested or demanded to the tenor in La Cenerentola by Maestro Rossini, or the high C from Manrico in Il Trovatore by Maestro Verdi are demanding, wait to see in case you didn't know this one. So I was saying that we are going to start with Maestro Kraus because we are starting with the first aria that this role is to be singing. The aria is known as A Teocara, by the way, one of the most elegant arias I have ever heard. A Teocara is just perfection in the voice of the right singer, and it demands a C sharp or a D flat, as you prefer to call it. So a C sharp or a D flat means a semitone higher than the high C. And we are going to see how these singers that we are bringing to provide example of how it has to be done go very comfortably above the high C. So let's start with this part in the voice of Maestro Kraus, who in this recording is also with the very great, also Spanish singer Montserrat Caballé. And this part is a very good example because we have heard the high note along with the line, the well singing line that is requested for the tenor to perform. But since Maestro Bellini didn't have enough with that, he said, why not going higher? We have already gone a semitone higher, so now let's go for a complete tone higher than the high C. And so the tenor has another part uh, closer to the end, because this Ateokara is in the first act. So closer to the end, we have this second one that is called Vieni fra queste braccia. Vieni, vieni fra queste braccia, amor, delizia e vita. So I think many people of you are familiar with this melody. So this time Maestro Bellini requested, why stopping at the C sharp when we can go for a D? And so the tenor is asked to sing that note, this time, as I was saying, closer to the end. But also, I wanted to share with you that we are having a recording in the voice of Maestro Nicolai Guerra. we have shared in previous blog and video blog posts around Maestro Gueda, who has an exquisite technique, a great voice, and who could reach the high D without a problem. And we're about to witness it in a recording now with the known as La Superba, John Sutherland. So, wow, 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 that was our very much admired tenor Nicolai Gueda singing this small part, Vieni fra queste braccia, with a high note included. But now, as I was saying, Maestro Bellini didn't have enough, and so he decided to add another difficulty, and this is how we are reaching the very end of the opera. I am going, or we are going to be, I'm going to be sharing two examples. The first one in the voice of tenor Stefan von Korch, and we are going to listen also to Gregory Kunde. The two of them have a very different way of reaching that note. I have to mention this is part of the final scene. It starts with Credeasi Misera, high F is written, the highest note ever written for a male voice, for a tenor voice. And we have to also understand that this is well beyond what can be sung with the actual impostation of a tenor. So many tenors go for a falsetto, a clear falsetto, as it could be the case of Pavarotti, or some mix of la voce di testa, and also called a falsettone. So you can find many people discussing around, yeah, but you have to do this and you have to do that. So we're not going to discuss the technical details of the emission of such note, just to say that with the classical singing technique, it's impossible that a male voice can reach that. Anyway, Maestro Bellini wrote it. He really didn't mind whether it was reachable or not. And it is very interesting because you could hardly ever find or hardly ever hear how a male voice sounds singing this note. If you ask me, the sound is interesting because you hardly ever can hear this type of sound, but I really don't like the male voice going that high because it loses most of its quality. The male sound of the voice tends to diminish to favor the sound of the high note. But listen it yourselves and decide which one is your favorite, not before I share you on the screen that this is the actual writing by Maestro Bellini, demanding that high F from the male voice, from the tenor. So this is a good reason to start running away from this partitura. But before we wrap up, me sharing with you these two recordings and to choose which sound you prefer, I would kindly invite you to listen to the complete opera. It is very interesting. It is a very interesting opera, very elegant singing from the main characters, and another masterpiece in the hands of Maestro Vincenzo Bellini. So I am wrapping up today's blog entry with us listening first to tenor Stefan von Korsch. Now let's go for tenor Gregory Kunde.